I'm just having a wander along in the Rothiemurchus forest near Loch Morlich. The colours are absolutely ridiculous at the moment, so really am literally every single turn at the moment there's an image, so you'll get very little from me. I'll put a little bit of B-roll in just to show some of the paths and things, but the colours down here probably the best I've seen in a long time of any woodland anywhere. So I will be no doubt making a lot of images today. This is just as an illustration. Combination of pine, birch, some oak, lichens to die for. So you've got this kind of superb mix of all the autumn oranges, ochres, yellows. Then you've got these cyanic greens, bluey kind of, it's just fantastic in every direction. Huge pine trees every now and then. There are big mature Scots pines. I think this is the thing we don't really get as much of in England, is the lichens on the tree, which add so much interest and contrast and kind of this colour contrast of the oranges and the yellows against these greeny blues. There's one coming up now. I'm definitely going to photograph this. Look at that. The yellows around the edge, there's like a fringe of yellow still. At the moment the colours will be bleached out by the fact that I'm under a clear sky, but as I get closer in again they'll come back. Just in here, just lovely all the way down the path. The Glenmore Forest Park and Rothiemurchus Forest really is a large remnant of the ancient Caledonian pine forest, which covered pretty much all of Scotland going back 10,000 years ago. The area now nestling up against the Cairngorms is absolutely enormous. It's about 30 square kilometres of woodland, which is something around about 10,000 hectares, which I think I just worked it out as 24,000 acres. And apparently there are around about 10 million trees in this one wood. So given that that's a mix of pretty much everything, oak, pine, birch, beech, larch, fir trees, the whole lot, there's so much in there and there's so much colour. It's probably one of the best places to visit for autumn photography in the UK. And it's crisscrossed by a vast network of really well made cycle tracks and footpaths. There's good road access along the edges of it too, so you're never really far away from civilization. It really is one of those places that has you reaching for your camera the second you step out of your car. Even beside the road there are images jumping out at you, and if you turn around, something completely different in the other direction. While there are loads and loads of images to be made literally right out of any car park around the area, I really do prefer all my photography to be part of a kind of more of an outdoorsy walking experience. So I spent pretty much all of the 5 days in the area wandering up and down some of the longer paths, and even following deer paths off into the woods as well, just to see if I could find something fresh and new. And I know I've said it many times before, but I think discovery really is the part of photography I enjoy the most. The great thing really about Rothiemurchus as well is it contains quite a few lochs and lochans, and also quite a few places where you break out of the woodland and everything becomes a bit more sparse, maybe a bit more like heathland, and you get these fantastic views like this out towards the Cairngorms themselves. And so on what turned out to be my final full day in the area, I wandered in from one of my favourite start points near Coilenbridge. Really, the sun was already out. I'd had a fantastic morning. If you saw the last episode, all those shots of the hills shrouded in fog and mist were taken that very morning, but then later on that cleared away, and for much of the middle of the day it was very much a blue sky thing. So I wandered and just enjoyed really exploring a bit more, took some time to sit and relax and chill out a bit. Did make a few images, flew the drone, but then mid-afternoon the cloud cover started to come in as the weather changed, and that's really when, for me, the light improved, my motivation came back, and I headed off down some brand new paths in the hunt for new material. The light's settling down a little bit more again now. It was lovely and misty this morning, and then the sun came out, but some mist burnt off and the sun came out. But I think there's high cloud coming in now, due to start raining later on. But this current flat light is really helping those yellows pop again. Just something I'm looking at over here with these two pine trees. I'm actually on quite spongy ground here. There's basically moss and a bit of heather and some junipers. And it's the only way I've had to get myself tight up against this pine tree. There's a pine tree at my back, but it's the only way to get the angle right and avoid this juniper here kind of from interfering with the view I wanted. I didn't want any sky in my shot, I just wanted the two tree trunks, and there's a lovely curved one coming back down again, which is just catching the kind of ambient light that there is at the moment. But essentially, because the ground's so spongy, I've set the timer on the camera for a 5-second count, and it just allows the whole thing to settle down a bit more before it takes its shot. The gunshots are a clay pigeon shooting enterprise over in the woods. It's a bit of a shame really, because it's very peaceful here. There's bird song, but there's also almost ceaseless gunfire from probably about a mile away in the woods. I have to say though, actually in the end the gunfire proved really useful. I followed a deer track off into the woods. I got off the main paths. Each of these deer tracks just starts to divide and split and becomes more and more faint and more indistinct. And I found myself after about half an hour really getting no sense of any direction anymore. So the guns in the distance really helped me keep an idea of where the road was. I had no idea other than for that, and I completely forgot that in my bag was a drone. I could have sent a drone up and had a good old look around from above my head, but in the end it was the guns that helped me. Getting lost though was probably the best thing I could have done. It was an opportunity to find new subject matter that really you would never even know was there. I was probably only 50 or 100 metres off the main paths, but they were completely obscured for me, so I had no idea where they were. I didn't hear anybody walk past, didn't hear anybody, no bikes, nothing went through the woods near me. But I found old walls running diagonally through the forest, fantastic grassland where there were birch trees growing out of these lovely grasses which were swaying in the breeze. So many different things that you'd have absolutely no idea were there unless you wandered and were prepared to take the risk of getting a little bit lost. I've been randomly wandering around these woods now for about 5 hours. This little find here. I spent about an hour wandering in a big circle off of the main paths. There's lots of cycle tracks and big routes through the woods, but I decided to take a little deer track off, and in the end I found a meadow with some beautiful grasses in. But I'm now looking at, I just love the colour contrast here of this dead or kind of brushwood from an old birch tree with the bracken coming through, and we've got this colour wash at the back of the woodlands as well. So I've shot it from this angle, actually upright, with those two leaning over birch trees at the back. Really, this is all about colour contrast in that foreground. It's all happy accidents really, just getting lost a little bit. Every single time it yields so many amazing images, and you can almost guarantee that nothing has been seen before. So they're all brand new, fresh images. This is quite interesting to contrast this same walk back down the same path as I did yesterday in low light. When you've got these colours popping now, it's actually about 10 to 4. The sun doesn't set for a while, but it's a fairly heavy cloud coming now. So we've got a very flat light, almost like a twilight feel to it. It's like the blue hour, even though it's not yet. And lots of things that I looked at yesterday which didn't work are really coming into condition now. This tree coming up on the right, I photographed yesterday, but I'm going to have another look at it now with this amazing kind of late light glow that's going on. There's all these purpley hues now that are appearing in the branches as the leaves, a lot of leaves have come off today. It's been a bit breezy too, so lost a lot of leaves. I've got a lot of them down the back of my neck actually. Yeah, there's already a marked difference between today and yesterday as far as leaf cover goes. I mean, there's lots of trees that have still got plenty on. And as the week goes on, this whole thing is going to gradually lose its canopy leaf cover. About 8 o'clock in the morning. Last night was spectacularly windy, and I had a night under canvas last night, so it was a relatively sleepless thing. But it's a bit blustery today, but the forecast is, that's quite nice. Have a look at that in a minute. The forecast is for blue skies, which it is right now. If I point at the sky up there, there's some blue up there. I'm walking around Lochmorlich at the moment. I'm actually doing on the circular path, so I'm seeing what's what. There's lots of breeze, so there's not going to be, you can see in the foreground here, if I stop for a second, my heather here is moving in the wind. It's nothing too blustery, and the light is lovely, so I'm hoping to certainly find a few brand new patches of woodland to photograph today. If the weather really turns bad on me, I will probably jump in my car later on and head south and head home. And in the end, unfortunately, that's exactly what happened. But not before I'd spent maybe 2.5 hours roaming around on the shores of Lochmorlich and really enjoying a different type of woodland again, a bit more a mix of birch and some stands of larches and spruce trees as well. So it wasn't long really before I was driven back to my car by heavy rain, and I began the long journey home to Shropshire. But of course very happy with 5 full days of woodland photography under my belt. So I'll leave you as usual with a slideshow of some of the images that I made on this particular trip to Rothiemurchus and the Glenmore Forest Park. Thank you very much for watching.